The unconscious is like limitless. It's a big space. Everything just gets pushed there to the back of your mind. Things that you're not ready to deal with yet, but you don't want to let go of, because they're kind of potentially useful things that are left accumulating. If you thought of thoughts like that, you know. That's the idea of having some rooms. It's like a room at the back of your mind. Put some limits on it and boundaries so that it's enclosed. Just means that thoughts might be more accessible than if you think they're just floating like particles in a massive, endless space.
Oh no, just because the door wasn't quite shut. Thanks. I think the first thing I'd say is that although we have a couple of Liz Finch's pictures, I think the main thing is she is the artwork herself in what she does. So she is constantly inventing and reinventing things around her in her world, which is what the artist's job is, because it's her really is the work of art, I think, in her view and her attitude and her approach to things. The two pictures we have, which are the physical results of her work, are these two pictures here, which we got some time ago, which I really like. And I think the great thing about these pictures is the more you look, the more you can see in them. And so what could be more natural and agreeable than this pleasant scene of a woman in her kitchen putting something into the washing machine? But the question is, what is that something? It's her take and her enjoyment of, I think, things that subvert, which she's always rather enjoyed.
Well, I said I would do a show, and then I realised I didn't really have a lot of finished paintings to put up, and I just fancied making it into an environment, like a room rather than a studio. And then every so often I would draw the curtains. And when people came in, if the curtains were drawn, they didn't used to come in, they would tiptoe past like this, as though they were waking the babies up. That was a doll that had like a thing like a sound thing, and it didn't work, so I took the batteries out and then I took its head off to see if I could make it work, and that was inside its head. So all these, the ones like that, have all got blob heads, or knob heads really. So it's like a weird umbilical on the wrong side, isn't it?
We are people who are kind of one-offs. We're kind of, we don't quite fit in. And so we might as well just try and think about things as they are rather than bothering with the kind of conventions. Animals adore him. Humans found him smelly. And I just love the idea. And when I look at it, it always cheers me up. She's just thinking about things she needs to do and doing her knitting and just sort of going through things in her head. And then other times she's really out. And in a way, I think that's one of the things I relate to, that need to go really a long way in and then really a long way out, to kind of really expanse of different bits of your person.
It's definitely darkness in it. That surreal quality is in a lot of her work, of mixing up weird, slightly sinister elements. But there's also this sort of jokiness in it as well. So the darkness is there, but it's kind of overlaid with comedy, with humour. The more intense and collaborative performing has begun again quite recently with the violin playing. And but I think Liz is probably more obsessed than me. We both got body painted in the horse hospital and played our violins very badly. Gypsies, tramps and thieves.
Come around, lay the money down.
I used to want to be somebody on stage, like a singer or whatever, dancer, because I was really shy. It was like changing yourself quite radically. At home, I don't really do ornaments that much, so I decided to just arrange them like you do. And I put, I don't know where it's gone now. Yeah, I found some photos, one of my dad, and I put it in. If he is there, he'll be just here, and he's not, so it's alright. My phone going. Oh, it's real. Because my phone is church bells peal. We're only quarter of an hour late. It's not bad, is it? Oh, summer fun.
Summer farms are white, and some are all for dancing in the pale moonlight. But rum alone the tipple and the heart's delight of the old mate of Henry Morgan. The old sea song.
I was born in Blackburn, Lancashire. And my dad was a vicar. I was told that God is everywhere, the idea of God watching everything. My life was saturated in it. I just felt like I wanted to grow up with my own mind. Why can't you be nice without Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
There's something about that chair we really want to ride on.
How do you do it then? Do you go like that?
No, you don't do that.
You just sit in it, do you? You can go downhill there, it's got brakes.
Do you have to use your legs with it?
I suppose nothing was ever did to an enigma.
My dad used to draw for me a lot. Yeah, he used to draw pictures of shots and things.
Yeah. And she always had a pile of paper next to her, didn't you?
Yeah, everybody used to give me paper.
Give it so you could always draw something.
Well, I used to go out of the way, really, and draw. Like under the table or in a cupboard or something.
How happy my darling will be.
We did move every few years, really, yeah. I went to loads of schools.
And and the dark lonely
There were some schools where it was really hard to, when you knew, because you feel really stupid in the wrong uniform, or everybody, or you got glasses, or you know.
I will be apart, always together, sweetheart.
My dad and my gran and my dad's sister. Yeah, there's one, and it's got my mum's mother and my dad and his sister, Auntie Edie, and then one of my dad. I don't know why I've got them in here, but they were in here. It's my mum's autograph, but their friends have written little poems for her. Oh. If you have a mother, treasure her with care, for you'll never know her absence till you see her vacant chair. When I was 14, my mum asked me if I would stop taking dolls out with me, because she thought it was look weird in public, sitting on the bus with a doll. And sit in the van and hide his head under his wing, for think the north wind does blow, and we shall have snow, and what will poor Robin do then? For think he'll keep himself warm and sit in the van and hide his head under his wing, for think. Little girls loved the dolls which peed out of an unspecified hole down below. I used to feed mine with milk from a doll baby bottle through its mouth hole. I discovered that milk goes smelly. I hid the doll away so I could continue to sniff it. When my brother told on me, my mum took it. She took the baby doll's head off in a really uncaring manner in order to fill it with Dettol. I didn't like it now because it smelt of doctors.
I think anybody who knows her recognises that she is capable of giving one access to a world that without her one really wouldn't know existed.
They're so fucking odd, aren't they?
I love fad sewing. I like the way it's just really tactile, and it reminds me of they have bits in your skull, suture joints. I like that. Also, there is something a bit unpleasant because I've used red a lot, so it's a bit surgical looking.
I mean, because I was about 15 and Liz would have been about 17 maybe, at art school in Burnley. And she was different. I was attracted to her difference. And she was always drawing.
We found out about a stained glass course and it was in North Devon. Oh, it would be great to live in North Devon, and it was.
Liz and Brian sat alongside each other, and they were just like one person, quite inseparable. We styled ourselves as the pre-Raphaelite brethren, following in their footsteps. I also wore Victorian nightshirts, which perhaps, if during the summer, it's fine and lovely. We visited churches of historic interest, architecturally, and if there was a church, a harmonium or an organ inside the building, Liz would immediately start playing and we'd all join in singing hymns. We were actually locked out of the art school at one time because we invented our own 10 commandments of what we thought we should be doing, which they didn't like.
Liz and I, at that time, we kind of slipped into a very different world where art really ruled everything.
Yes, that was a day in the spring. It was late March. Beautiful summer, primroses in the fields and the country lanes, and the hedgerows were lovely, festooned in wonderful foliage, and colours of the sky amazing. We decided to go for a cycle ride along the cliffs towards Westward Ho, which we did and really enjoyed the day.
What happened, I was on a bike when I was in Devon. We went to the beach because it was really lovely and sunny. We started going downhill. I felt like I was going out of control. So I saw that there was like a stone bridge over a stream or something. And so I thought if I go into the bridge it'll stop my speed. And it did, but then I fractured my skull and the bike got all smashed up and stuff. And then I remembered over the next few days these dreams, walking along a riverbank on the grass, and on the other side there were people in Victorian outfits and a dog, and it was all birds on the grass and flowers. I thought how nice it would be to be over the other side. And then I just decided to stay, and then I must have woken up.
But it was like life was this kind of extraordinary Arcadian and poetic world that we'd been inhabiting was suddenly crushed by this thunderous and dark reality that life throws at you.
And then when I woke up, there was this awful squealing noise that was tinnitus, which I've still got, that's never gone. I suppose I was just recovering from shock, you know. I didn't like eating. I didn't relate to eating, so it was almost like you're not really alive, you know. It was like living in a dream world with a different face that you don't really recognise, and hearing all that noise.
Well, she was determined to return. But I think she is such a strong person that she was able to live with her fears.
I left college and we lived in Derbyshire. I did feel kind of invisible. And I think living in Derbyshire, it was like, actually, after that accident, it was a matter of like a long time, years before I felt normal. So it was like a convalescence thing, you know. That's how I would describe when I lived in Birchover, where it was beautiful but melancholy. But I think to be melancholy, something has to be beautiful. Life isn't worth living if nobody knows you're there, or you know, or you've not got much. If you're just going to bide your time for the rest of your life. So I decided I couldn't afford to be really that shy anymore. Well, the funk thing was about being different. It was different. It was like saying, I can do it even though I don't know whether I can do it. It was about giving it a go. I performed in a club called Heaven. I did a couple there in different ways with people and on my own. We had a thing called the Neo-Absurdists, and we did all kinds of things like seances and cookery demonstrations. I was a therapist, and it was going to be my therapy technique using a ventriloquist dummy. And so I did a performance where I asked people from the audience to come up to be my client. Which smells. Not too bad though. Well, I think it's more likely to be the tea, but it is made from old duvets and pillows, like belonging to other people. I quite like being a ventriloquist dummy because nobody could see your head anyway, so you could just talk through it. You know how a real ventriloquist doesn't move the mouth, which actually I ought to be quite good at that, but I'm not really. So I used to just talk through it like, so this is now the therapist, because I am holding the dummy, so the client is where you are. So I would say, what is your problem?
Liz really got Cabaret Futura. It was a weekly multimedia mashup in a very sleazy basement in Soho. So either she'd be in the audience or she'd be on the stage, and sometimes both simultaneously. Always indefinable as to what it was she did. Was she an artist? Was she a performance artist? Was she a writer? Was she a comedian? Was she a poet? You know, of course she was all of those things. And she would write what would probably now be called raps. Someone had the bright idea that we should take Cabaret Futura to America as a tour. And so Liz was probably the first person I went to.
Increasingly coercive, increasingly intolerant, but I don't see how it's going to reduce violence in their cities. I don't see how it's going to deal with the problem of crack babies.
And we really did go from coast to coast, driving the whole way from New York to California and back. Playing the most dreadful places in between. They didn't quite get it, what we were doing.
The daytime was just spent waiting for the night time. Hangovers and but it was creative. I saw it as a party that finished, and then I started to get on with my life again, really. For me it was like that. I had done in 1989, so it's quite strange when, after all that, nearly a year of waiting, you get this, it's like a present, and you just keep looking at this baby that's a living thing. It's really strange.
Who's your best watching art film here? No way, let's go to
All my life I'd avoided what I called normal everyday routine. And then when you've got a baby, you start fitting in with a routine, and then I found how comforting it was, how I liked being like a mum. I wrote a poem about it that was, at the antenatal centre, we were taught to eat placenta. I can't remember anything else. And so I was planning to eat it because I know it's meant to be really good for you and it puts back everything you've lost. I told them I might eat it, and then this nurse brought me this washing up bowl and he said, "Do you still want to eat it?" I said no, because it was like a huge amount of liver in a washing up bowl.
There's something very real about her work. And so when I first got it, I was just like very flattered. And then she kind of like admitted that it was something that she'd had knocking around for a while. But certainly me and Liz, you know, we did see each other pretty much every other day, because Liz likes going for walks, and so I was always like, you know, walking into town with Amber, my little daughter, and you know, going for walks on the beach or going to the beach and hanging out. And so, you know, we'd always cut together.
Let's go, we're ready to roll, let's go, we're ready, come on, face it to your left, ladies, face it to your left. Do you want to go, let's go, Jovin, let's go. Dominicans.
After I had done and then I started painting, I did work like things I'd never done before. The work was like a new start, really, using different materials. So I don't know whether I was more confident. I just felt it was quite liberating and just do work and paint. Everybody here on holiday wearing leggings. I used to remember when I was pregnant, it's like going out with just your tights on, isn't it? Never decide when to finish it. Yeah, it's just round here. I'd like to just neaten that bit up, because what it was had feet originally. Like a tide coming in over here. You'll have to keep it to that.
She was a little bit naughty when she was with me. I don't know if it was because I encouraged her or kind of like... She'd sometimes go missing for a while and I'd be walking around wondering where the hell she's got to.
The great thing about Liz's work is a serious sense of humour.
I thought there would be some more like parrots and lovebirds. We haven't seen very many, have we?
There is one that she did shortly after we came out of Machu Picchu, and I was really touched. And so part of that memory of going up there and was is in that painting, is and I love it, yeah.
Can I take it out?
No. I should take a picture of bricks while I'm here. The things that I paint are atmospheres which are quite ethereal, really. They're like dream atmospheres, and the bricks give it a sort of solidity, I think. I just love bricks, and I like, it's not particularly the colour, though I like it dirty, that kind of dirty mass of colour. I also like the way like the angles of bricks, the way they go over each other in halves like that. If you're looking at a picture, sometimes there's a frame round it. It's like crossing a barrier and looking at the other side, where you've got all this freedom, but also you've got to leave this side behind. And the walls are there to make you aware that there are barriers. Although I don't put the sea in, I think the people who look at my paintings are supposed to know that the sea is behind there, or it's like a kind of unspoken thing.
There's an obvious thing one might recognise in her work, sort of applying normal art historical criteria, that there's a naive element often to the drawing, to the imagery. It would be a real mistake to think that that's naivety. It is somewhat appropriating superficially the language to again subvert. Absolutely crucial with Liz is, of course, her poetry and her writing, which is at least as important, I would say, and she's always had the two things.
The writing that I do on paintings is exploring reality rather than presenting reality. Like a kind of psychological realism that's true to your dream. When I first came to Hastings, I had a dream the night before that I was flying over the sea and I could see the cliffs. I'm interested in the kind of debris left from dreams that's in your head when you're awake doing a painting. I like it when things aren't belonging to a time.
I've never known Liz follow rules of any sort, under any circumstances. She's always been very amused by the absurdity of the world.
Well, I got this from a second-hand shop, a drawing of the beach, and it's like Fairlight or somewhere. And then I did a really big Rufus on the front of it in yellow. Rufus is a rescue dog, and everybody talks to him, stops and talks to him. And people tell me off if I go out without him. Everybody knows his name. What it is, I really feel nervous when you have a blank page or a board, and if you buy a second-hand painting that's really crap, it's like you can't really make it any worse than it is. So it's like somewhere to start off with. It's not really a destructive thing, it's just like making something more of it. So I'm kind of recycling them. It's like a rescue painting, really.
I always really like about it, which is some people have, you can never predict what their view on something is going to be. They've always got a slightly different view to whatever anybody else has got. Thing about her is it's that sort of slight unpredictability of what her response to something is going to be.
I mean, she's a contrarian as well. If you could comment on what I said, she'd say, "Oh, I don't think it was like that," to everything I've said. And of course, she's sort of right because she also sees the other side of something like that.
Stuff that she'd seen on a billboard or in a window on the way to the gig would be part of her poem or her declaiming once she was in the club.
You know you can think while you're washing up. It's to do with ordinariness. Making things is wonderful. Even tidying up, sometimes washing up is a bit like it in a way. You're doing something.
Play computer games, reading, watch TV, collecting stuff, unravelling knitting, looking out of the window at the sea and stars at night, looking amongst my hoardings for important things I've lost. Ironing, patting dogs on the head, remembering conversations.
It's like a coming together of the different elements, digital and earthy and domestic and traumatic and romantic, all coming in somehow.
Liz has got that sort of down-to-earth everydayness about taking what's there and then reacting against it. We have these creative lives that embrace everything we do. You know, in the way we put a lot of effort into bringing up our children or looking after our mothers or creating beautiful environments to live in and making food and pickling tea towels and all that stuff.
I sometimes come in at night, like I might come in at 9 till 11 or something. I quite like it so quiet at night. Other people have said that I'm really, the word for it, involved with the ordinary. But I sort of am, really. There is an ordinary that I don't like, that gets claustrophobic, that is comfort. I'm interested in the underneath rather than the surface. If you're afraid of something, it gives it an importance, really. It's a presence of something unspecified. It's like the air is thicker at a certain point. There are things that in the dark that you feel the shape of and you don't know what they are, or things you see and you don't know what they are. You know, I like, the uncertainty. trusting the darkness.